What's going on, YouTube world and YouTube tribe? Welcome back to LilBigMan Gaming, bringing you that review for Supergirl episode 17 of season 6, called Believe in a Thing Called Love. I thought it was I Believe in a Thing Called Love. Could have sworn it was I, but apparently it's just called Believe in a Thing Called Love. I think it was either I or just Believe, but anyway, sorry, rambling. This, anyway, I was about to say something, but then I realized let me give you the synopsis, then we'll talk about it. When Lex Luthor appears by Nixley's side, Supergirl and the team must deal with the emotional fallout of facing their two biggest foes at the same time. Alex makes plans for the perfect proposal to Kelly, but work keeps getting in the way. Yeah, so I want to say not a lot of moving parts, but it's a lot of things that was happening, but they was all interconnected. The whole the work, obviously, and Alex's proposal was interconnected with the main story. So nothing, I don't think really when you look at this episode, there was like a branching side story that really didn't matter to the main story. Everything was about the main story. So in the beginning of this episode, they have basically come up with a plan to stop Nixley, which is they're gonna use Lena to basically create this magical spell to imitate the totem, the love totem, because this was all about the love totem. This episode, everything was about love. This episode, so they use this spell to imitate the love totem, and they plan to catch Nixley in this trap. And that they have everything figured out, but on the other side of the playing field, Nixley has in this episode. I think it picks right back up with the actual first scene picks up right where the last episode left off, with Nixley having an encounter with Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor informed her, that her what she was hearing, how she was hearing herself in the robot was her consciousness. It was actually her conscious uploaded to the robot. And this was possible because Lex Luthor is from the future. Apparently, since the last time we saw Lex, somehow he went to the future or came back from the future, and to inform Nixley, some of the events that happened in the future. I think he eventually informs her that he informs her that she got her revenge, and that she somehow she still got her revenge, even though I forgot what it's called once you put all the tones together, but somehow she was able to make everything work with the what was it, the hope totem that that Supergirl destroyed. Yeah, the hope totem. Somehow without the hope totem, she was able to she's able to use the rest of the totems to get her revenge, but because she didn't get the totems in the right way, unfortunately, it leads to her own death. And that Lex Luthor was the one who was able to save her consciousness, and save her consciousness and put it into the Lex mech suit that she was wearing. So they informed Nixley that. Next informed Nixley that the whole reasoning for her having that suit and her conscience, they was both back from the future to try to help her try to change the future by making sure that keeping that she still gets her revenge, but she's able to avoid what led her to her death. So Nixley is not, she's impressed by it. She's, at first like, yeah, why would, okay, I'm starting to give into this idea of working with you, until she finds out that he's none other than Lex Luthor. She doesn't know at first that he was Lex Luthor until that other guy she's working with, let's call him like alien minion or something like that later on in the episode. But he accidentally informs Nixley that who she was talking to was Lex Luthor, and once she realized who she was talking to, because she remembered from her encounter with Supergirl that she realized who Lex Luthor is, and she's like, "You're the one who sent Supergirl into the Phantom Zone." He said, "Yes, one of my greatest hits." And she's like, "I loathe men who send women away to a dimensional prison." And she basically akined him to like her father. So she distrusts him. She doesn't want to see him anymore, and she basically is like, I don't want nothing to do with you. I want nothing to do with a man like you. And then we find out more and more what's driving Lex into this episode. This episode details what Lex went through in the future, and that Lex Luthor's actually really have changed. He's changed in a way that, well, is in the title. I would say, I'm going to say that much. It's in the title of this episode. The very last word of this episode, that's this is what's going on with Lex. Because this, like I said, this episode is heavily about love. Everybody, not just romantic love, but familiar love. And that is all the very nature of love itself, because it deals with the love totem. So the race is on to catch Nixley. They spring the trap on her, and they encounter. This is where everybody sensed that episode where he trapped her into the Phantom Zone. This is when they they try to trap her. They use the fake totem. Everything's going according to plan until Lex comes in, and it sends down like a kryptonite grenade or whatever, because you really don't see it. Like it was just Nixley and Alex like fighting, shooting at each other. Like she's shooting lasers at her, she's shooting the totem power at her, and then next you just this green explosion. And it was, Lex Luthor, Deus Ex Machina style, coming to save Nixley. And because Nixley was basically overwhelmed at this point. Yeah, they had overwhelmed her. That's what happened. I think John Jones hit her with a psychic attack that pretty much put her down, and they was getting ready to trap her, and that's what Lex hit them with that kryptonite that disabled Supergirl, and pretty much, took her out of the game, and he got away with Nixley. Nixley was thinking she about to get away with the love totem until Lena sees Lex, and Lena, because she was still doing the spell, her anger towards Lex resurfaced, because she thought later on she would explain that she thought she was done with Lex. But I'll get to more of that. But this is what was happening at this point. Her rage for seeing Lex would have returned to her in that moment. So when she was doing the spell, she was saying the spell with her hand out like this, one book in one hand, and she's saying the spell, and then she realized that rage caused this surface in her magic, and the fake totem went from glowing blue like it's usually is with the totem magic. It was glowing blue, and then it turned red and it started catching on fire. It burnt Nixie to where she had to throw it down, and she realized it's a fake totem. Her and Lex teleports out of there. Supergirl, Lena revives Supergirl using I think it's like a red sun. It looked like it was a red sun solar chamber or some type of chamber like that, where it basically gets rid of the effects of the kryptonite quicker. I think this is the scene where Lex and Nixley had a little argument, and how he was trying to explain, like throughout the episode, Lex is trying to figure out ways to get the current Nixley to eventually become friends with him. Because as we learn, there's a specific reason why he's so fixated on Nixie and why he's desperately trying to get her to be friends with him. And that's part of one of the things I won't be spoiling in this video. But if you go watch the episode or you already seen the episode, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, he's basically desperate. Throughout the episode, he's desperate to try to get Nixley to like him, and for some to like him and be friends with him. Because he's the only person who knows how to change the future. And at this point, Brainy figures out how Lex was able to do some of the things he's been doing so far in this episode, and he realized that he informs the team that Lex have come from the future. Like the team, nobody had any inkling that Lex came from the future, and they even talked about how they thought he was just laying low, and that was it. After the whole thing with Supergirl and everything that happened, they thought he just laid low. They had no idea that him laying low was him laying low in the future. And Brainy tells them, but not just the future, specifically the 31st century where Brainy comes from the future that Brainy comes from. So Brainy informs him that that's how he was able to outwit them somewhat throughout the episode, because he's using 31st century future tech. And he explains to everybody that one thing that he never explained to them about the 31st century is that he said the 31st century is a technological, I couldn't say the word. I said it the first time, then I messed myself up. Technological, I think I just messed that up too. But you get what I'm trying to say. It's a very super tech advanced in the future. They basically heavily tech advanced. Like their tech is so advanced it could do stuff that they still couldn't dream of right now in the present. And he tells Supergirl and the rest of the team that this is why Les has been able to even counteract some stuff, because some stuff in the future, as we see from the Lex side of the explanation, thanks to Nixley, with the help of Nixley, they've been able to blend tech and magic together. He actually fixed Nixley's crystal ball so that she could actually find the real love totem instead of locking on to that fake one in case they try to do something like that again. And he even informs her that they about to find it real soon. And we see that Nia, she actually, when he says this, Nia actually, who's been trying to find ways to conjure up the dream where this love totem is at, actually finds it, and the race is on for the love totem. At the same time, Brainy has a contemplation about doing something, which is contacting the Legion from the future to see what information they need for the fact that Lex came from the future. So he's basically with Lex. The threat of Nixie just went up higher now, because if they were working together, their threat just went up higher because Lex have information from the future that can infinitely help Nixley defeat them now. And if they want to level the playing field, they need Brainy to contact the rest of the Legion in the future. But Brainy is contemplating this because he feels like he remembers that this is like the trauma. I think this trauma. This part of this little niche of the episode is like heavily with Lena and Brainy, how they both suffered trauma from Lex, and they both have, like, she doesn't want to use magic anymore because that when she saw Lex, her magic comes from your emotional place, and when she saw Lex, that's what caused the totem to catch on fire and burn Nixley, because she felt rage, and she doesn't want to repeat what her mother did. So she decides not to use magic. Brainy doesn't want to contact the people in the future because last time he did something like similar to that, he worked with Lex and betrayed his friends and almost got everybody killed. But eventually, they come to an understanding that they both have to push past their fears in order to help the team win. That's what John does. He undertakes the courage totem. Cause they figured they had to use the courage totems to defeat Nixley, or try to give her courage or humanity in order to defeat her. But they needed to pass the test, and Supergirl couldn't pass the test because she doesn't understand. For her, she didn't understand the time when she didn't have the least courage. But John, he knew exactly what he said. He gonna do the trial this time. He knew exactly the time where he had the least courage, and we see that was when he failed to try to save his children. And in the trial, when it took him back there, he tried this time, instead of just letting himself be separated from his children, he fought to the death. As he was telling Supergirl, he fought to the death to try to save his children, and he actually, instead of being separated, he fought and actually got to reach out and touch his children's hand, and that's what ended the trial, because that's what he didn't do the first time. That's what the trial wanted him to do this time, to actually fight and reach out and touch your daughters, even if it meant they still died and you died as well. So the rest of the episode, it was a fun little adventure, and there were things mentioned about a Pacific totem that Supergirl destroyed, the Hope totem, that got revealed. That I had an inkling that happened, but you see, if you haven't seen the episode, you'll see at the end of the episode what that little reveal was, which played into how Nixley was able to get her revenge in the future. But that's all I got. But if you enjoyed this review, then hit that button right there in the upper right corner for all of my reviews. And if you enjoyed this review video so much that you want to support the channel, then hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification button so you get notified when I drop videos. And as always, hit any one of these videos for more of my amazing content, but don't go anywhere. I got review videos, Nintendo videos, I got everything coming up. So, yeah. Peace. See you in the next one.